Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I am your host, Cheney Passer. With me is always...
Courtney Briggs.
Yeah, Courtney Briggs.
Wait, sorry. I'm already going to get into something right away.
I was going to get into something too, so you go first, I'll go next.
Have you ever heard my dad do that? He was obsessed with when Jason Derulo, he would always start a song like that.
Yeah.
So he would always...
Courtney Briggs.
No, you go, Aaron Briggs.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay, sorry.
Well,
You get into your thing.
I think there's two elephants in the room. One, my hair.
Your hair.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, is it good today? You think
No,
this is good?
it's not. It's atrocious.
See, okay. Continue.
But the second one,
My hair looks great.
it is 6:25, and you have chosen to have an espresso.
Yes.
So that's the kind of life that you live.
Is my life awesome? Yes. Did I also just have a 20 count thing of sushi? Yes.
What was that?
Did
Was
I
it
also
20?
have pre-workout this morning? So is this my second thing of super concentrated caffeine? Yes.
Have you had any water? No.
No, I have. Yes. A half a gallon to be exact.
You're going to be up all
No,
night.
a gallon. I've had a gallon of water.
This is what happens. You're going to be up all night, and then you're going to go, oh, you always want to go to bed so early.
Caffeine really doesn't affect me like that.
You want to go to bed
I take it back.
early.
I still get tired. I think caffeine affects me while I'm sleeping way more. Like, I could fall asleep, no problem, but it's the, like, I get up in the middle of the night and then I'm feeling awake. Or, like, I just have a little bit more restless sleep.
Yeah.
I don't notice it falling asleep, but I definitely can tell, like, well, I probably didn't get the best night of sleep when I do have caffeine super late. But we're also living life.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot be drinking an espresso at 6:30. It usually doesn't do that to me either, but it's almost just like I don't want to take the risk.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so good, though. To me, it's like, I don't know, it's like a special midday treat. I just happen to do it at night. Well,
and this is something we've talked about before, too, where it's like you can drink multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to do like one thing at a time. So if I'm drinking, that's why I like to do the espresso, because it's smaller. It's like you said, it's concentrated so that you're still getting a high caffeine count and not having to drink 3 cups of coffee. But I have to drink it all at the same time and then move on to water, to where it's like I will just be drinking coffee, till 1 p.m. and I haven't had any water, and now I'm not hydrated, and now there's nothing going on.
Sure.
To where you can drink your coffee and the water and a juice and protein shake and just be kind of like mixing them around, to where it's like I got to drink my coffee or espresso and then go to water, and then it's like if I have a protein shake, then I'll drink that until it's gone. Like I'm very, I don't know, one by one. I can't do them all at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like I like because with drinks, I like them so much. If it's like a protein shake, I'll drink that all just until it's gone, because I don't like drinking it. But if I have multiple drinks that I like having, I want them all to last. So then I'll like take little sips out of all of them, or I'll have a juice, and then I'll have my coffee, and then I'll have my water, and then they all last for just hours.
Yeah.
And I can enjoy it for longer. But it also depends on what kind of coffee we're doing. Like, I have noticed with which also I'll talk about that in a second, our new espresso maker that we just got, it comes out so much more dense that even though it's less amount, it takes me longer to drink, because it's so potent, and just the I don't know, not the weight of it, but
it's just the consistency.
It's
like
much thicker. It's much thicker, to where if it's just like my normal espresso where I mix it with the coffee cubes, again, let me talk about that also. Did I already talk about that? The coffee cubes?
I think you might have, yeah.
Okay. It just is a little bit more liquidy, so I can chug that. But I'm not into the hot coffee either.
Yeah, I don't.
So the iced coffee, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of just an all day. I can drink it. But we got a new espresso. Did I talk about that already too?
Probably. You want to talk about coffee
Okay.
all day long.
Well, I did post about the coffee maker, and I did have like 5 more people go like, "Hey, what was that thing called?" Because I can't find it.
Yeah,
So
do you know what it's called?
it's so if you just it's like a little mini uh
You could just
stove.
go
It's
grab
called
it.
stove. Okay.
It is. You do it on top of the stove, and I think it's like an espresso maker. That's kind of what it's labeled as, but it just looks like a little, I don't know, a little crock type thing. Um, yeah, well, you could probably just sit down and hold on to it and then set it on the ground or something. Yeah,
It's
it's
called a
good.
stovetop espresso maker. That's literally what it's called. I looked it up. You can buy them on Amazon or literally anywhere. We got ours at TJ Maxx for like $8. But
Yeah,
it's really awesome. It's different than because we have an espresso maker, like a machine too. This one, it takes less water. I feel like, or it boils the water to where the normal espresso it almost steams it. Well, I guess they steam both of them, but this one comes out so much thicker.
yeah. It must just be the way that they're, I don't know, just the contraption that it is or the way that it's done. But because we have it's like a Mr. Coffee espresso maker. It's kind of like the ones that you see at like if you were to go buy an espresso, how they do it. It looks like one of those, but it definitely comes out more watery compared to this stovetop one. The stovetop one it's so dense and
So
it's
if
the
you like it
best.
really thick and almost like creamy and like has that like it gets that smoky taste, I would highly recommend.
Yeah, it's
getting
strong, strong, strong.
It.
It's good. Well, and we're in a little bit new of a setup, I guess. We're just
Mixing it up.
Yeah, just mixing it up. We have all of our Christmas decorations down here, so we wanted to kind of, I don't know, shoot it down here. Also see how we like it here on the couch, and I don't know, just mixing it up, see how it works, and do something different.
Yeah. You let us know if you hate it. Then we'll change.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I
It's
don't know.
different. I like doing that kind of stuff, just like mixing up my scenery. And I think and this might sound like, okay, woo woo, but like, I think with having a more artsy or like creative forward mind, or that's where I always like to think from, I like being able to switch up my scenery because then that might provoke different conversations or different ideas or
No, I
like
think
a different setting might create a different mood.
I think there's something to that. I think even now, like it's a little bit more. It kind of brings back the interest or the fun of
Yeah.
it. You know, like putting a new location or doing it a little bit different just brings a new like want to go do it rather than going to the same room and everything and sit in the same chair and whatnot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I
just
think
like
it's
when you
good to do that.
rearrange your living room. You know, my mom does that all the time where it's like, oh, I'm kind of bored with this. I want to change it up. And it's fun. It gives you, I don't know, like you said,
Yeah.
maybe it gives you new ideas or just new thoughts, or it's just like, I'm kind of bored with this and I want to switch it up and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I like doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
And it's
just,
like you can get in the festive mood. You know, we got all the Christmas stuff out and
yeah. Yeah, we're going with gnomes and nutcrackers.
that's
this
going to
year.
be our decorations. Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about that. I am like, do I even remember?
Going to build
For
a
some reason.
collection over the years of gnomes and nutcrackers.
I would love to get this podcast to a point
We
where,
made this.
yeah, that took so long. We bought a little kit to make the gnomes, just like to make 3 of them.
Some of them, the ones that look like crap, are the
If
ones that
you didn't know how to sew, this would be way too hard.
Oh yeah.
For just like a casual throw a gnome together. Like they made
Yeah.
it look like on the box, like, oh, you just need some felt and glue it together. No, you had to like sew
Yeah.
a full. It took way too long, but you will see that or you'll see the beginning attempt to that in my Christmas vlog
Mm.
or setting up the Christmas tree vlog. I don't know how I want to put that in, but
Yeah.
yeah. But that's what I was saying. I hope we get to the point with this podcast that people will send us things.
That'd be funny.
Like, send us your favorite Christmas decoration, and then you can see it in the podcast.
Yeah. Or even just more interaction, comments, and
Yeah.
when we put out the questions and just all that, just more dialogue and stuff. That'll be cool.
Yeah, for anybody that just watches the podcast and isn't really connected with us on our social media, I would highly recommend to follow us on that, not only because it helps us grow this business, but because we do a lot of social media specific things that we don't maybe talk about on the podcast, or even like the content that we post on our Instagram is different than what we post on our Facebook page. So I would just try to cover all of your bases, because we post different deals on different things. We bring up different topics on different things. And yeah, like anytime we post a question, we are actually wanting to get responses and be able to bring it either into the podcast or just
because
get to know you. We want this to be a back and forth connection and create our little crew.
Yeah, we want there to be dialogue, because we know what we like to talk about, but we want to know what everybody is kind of questioning or thinking, and be able to answer to that rather than just the stuff that we want to.
Yeah. And we actually just did that. We just did that's what this episode is going to be. It's going to be our answer to our Q&A. Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that we got, which I thought was really interesting, so I'm excited to talk about it, is the difference, or what we think about the difference between like old school style lifting versus new school. And I think we kind of have a few different avenues that we're going to explore within this. And the first being like even just programming of like certain splits versus full body versus how many, like the classic splits that you might do versus maybe upper body then lower body, and just our thoughts on it.
Yeah. I think right away with the splits, it typically depends on, and this is almost with everything, what you have been doing, what you have already been doing, usually going into trying something that you haven't really done. So if you've been doing full body forever, maybe you could try doing a splits like the classic bodybuilding, where it's like chest and triceps, back and biceps, fitting in shoulder, maybe shoulders and arms, and then a leg day or something. Whatever you'd like to do. I think there's the weightlifting community kind of started with bodybuilding. So that was most of the influence for so long, was you do it bodybuilding style, to where now we're in this phase or this day and age where full body is really taken on the community, because it's just the new kid on the block. Like it's the new way of doing everything, and how you get results from that and everything. You'll get results from every type of split, as long as it's something that you haven't been doing or haven't done for a long time, and
you're consistent with,
and you're putting in the work. That's usually what it all comes down to, is the consistency. And when you're there, you're putting in the effort. But they both do have their benefits, and I think some of the splits versus the full body does kind of go, some things work better with one goal versus the other one works with the other goal. If you're going full body, your goal, that will work best probably with just a healthy, balanced goal. I want a goal where I'm a balanced individual. I'm strong in all areas. And also with full body, typically your workouts can be shorter. A lot of the times they're shorter because you're doing full body every day you go into the gym. You're not splitting up each body part. But I want to let you add, because I feel like I'm talking too much.
You're not talking too much. You're just taking actually all of my points.
Oh.
But yeah, exactly what you were going to say. That's kind of that was my first thought when this topic came up, was, to me, I like them all. They all have a purpose. When I bring them in, like there's an intention for when I use what. So I've tried all of these. I'm doing more of a full body right now. But like you said, when doing more of I'm just trying to focus on getting my workouts in. I'm trying to stay consistent, maybe 3 days a week. I'm whatever. I'm not trying to push any goal. I'm just trying to stay consistent, which if that's something that you want to talk about more, we just talked about it in our last podcast. So I would go listen to that. I think that was a good episode. So yeah, I can use a full body there because I know I need to keep I don't have to push the volume. I don't have to like be in the gym 6 days a week. If I'm trying to go for more of, for me, which has been like a bulk chiseling or kind of forming and then a cut, that is when I mix in actually 2 different kinds of splits. So I typically would start with just like a 5x5, which is just your compounds, like a chest press, squat. I'm trying to think what I actually did though, because I didn't think I did all. I did a shoulder press, squat, chest
but
press.
you're still doing full body with it.
Yes, full body, but I guess because when I eventually get into the full body, that is when I get more of the I would like with my 5x5. I'm not gonna do any like bicep curls or tricep that, like not the accessory stuff. So more just like your major compounds, and then during my more of a building certain areas out, that's when I will bring in a upper body, lower body split. Because for me personally, I noticed that I am able to get in equal amount of volume without adding a bunch of time to my workout. So that's when I'll do like an upper body day followed by a lower body day, upper body day followed by a lower body day. And then I'll just gauge based off how my body is feeling. Do I do that 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever. And then once I get into more of my cutting, that's when I'll go into the pairs. For me.
Interesting. I would do it almost the complete opposite. Well, and I think that's the exact point to kind of all of this, is it's so individualized. And some things are going to work for some people that aren't going to work for others. I think that's where we can be general and specific of like, this is what we do. Try it out. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, maybe do the opposite. And I think that's why it's perfect that you would do it that way and I would do it the opposite way, because, then I think more people can relate of like, oh, they even they are different in how they would approach this and what they see the benefit in. I would do it the opposite. Like if I'm, because you started from a bulk and went to a cut, right? Mm-hmm. See, I would start with the splits, like a chest and a tricep day, or I always like to do chest and back, and then I would do like shoulders and arms, and then a leg day, and then repeat that. I was always, with the bulking, I was always trying to chase as much volume as I can. And I figured that starting with just individual body parts, I could do that better than by starting with full body.
And I have done that. I have done that as well in a bulk. The bulk that I felt really good about was when I didn't focus on I guess I focused on volume, but not as much as like just the number of how many different exercises or how many, like the only part of the volume I was focused on is just get to the heaviest weight that you possibly can.
Well, and I think that's something that we should bring up because not everybody might know what volume is. So volume is just your sets times your reps times the weight that you do for that exercise. So if you're doing 4 sets of 10 at 100 pounds, you're going to do, however you do your math, but you're going to do 4 times 10 times 100. That's your volume. So that's what I was chasing, was volume, getting that total number up, to where you're saying that you are more focused on the weight. You were more focused on getting the weight number up specifically.
Yep. I was just trying to focus, at least for the bulk that I'm thinking of specifically and how I ran it like this was, I was just trying to focus on the 5 major lifts because that's something that I was prioritizing, but I wasn't ever trying to push I wasn't trying to see what my max was at a chest press or a shoulder press, or, it's like I was doing all these exercises, but it wasn't always for the intent of like, let's see how strong you can get. Let's see what the numbers that you can put up. So that's why I wanted to isolate it to just a few of what I thought were the important exercises and just hone in on that. then start to sprinkle in the other, how I saw them as like accessory lifts afterwards, to where it's like, no, these are your foundation, these are your staples. Then you can start playing with the ones that just like are sprinkles on top.
Sure. Yeah.
And I like that. I would probably do that again, that same format. And that's also another thing to say too, with whether it's programming, whether we're talking about splits or full body or whatever, is it is individual. So if you are trying to figure out what works for you, track how your progress is going. So then you know how to switch it up next time. Like I know for me, I ran each section or each phase for 4 weeks, to where I know I could do the bulk for 4 weeks, but then that chiseling, that next one, I'd need to run for 3, because the 4th week I just started to get aches and weird like cramps, and it was like I wasn't putting up any more weight. I wasn't noticing a benefit. That when I switched into the more of the cutting and like the 15 to 20 rep range, that's when all of my pain started going away. And then I also can lose weight very quickly, so that cutting down or the chiseling part I didn't need to do for 4 weeks either, because just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have known that unless I was kind of tracking my progress or how it was going.
Yeah. And I think that's an important point too, is I think for the gym goers, the workout people that find it hard to get there and go, I get that you may not want to hear this advice, but it's very important to try to be aware, very self-aware as you're going and you're working out, whether it's progress-wise or just noticing and seeing how you're feeling, because how are you going to know how to adjust and do other things, like the example you just gave, for the next time, or just even for that moment. If you're going in, you're just putting your headphones in, you're trying to forget about everything you're doing. I get that that may work to get you there and to get the workout done, but I don't think that there's a real longevity in that. I think the longevity comes when you're very aware of what you're doing and going in and doing and how your body's responding. And I mean, you're doing a dance with yourself, and you need to know what your partner's doing, kind of thing. Like if you're going to, put this stimulus on it, you need to know what the reaction is in return. And if you're completely blocking that out by just putting your music in and going, you're going to get wore out or burnt out, and then you don't know why. And then we're starting at square one again, to where it's like, if you would go in and be aware of what you're doing, you'd know exactly why this is happening. And then you can adjust and you learn something and you add it to your toolbox or your database, and then you move on and do the next one a different way. So that's the advice.
I think for your health, and how we've always talked about it, of it's your physical, it's your emotional, it's your mental, working with yourself creates so much quicker and more stable progress. Your body is telling you what it needs. Your emotions are telling you what you need to take care of. Your mental space is telling you, how do we need to adjust our life around this to fix this? Or maybe not fix it, but improve or adapt to something else. It's giving you the cues that you need and the clues that you need. Most of the time we're just like, we don't want to pay attention to it.
No.
And I think, yes, there is a version where you can just go in and put your headphones in and maybe follow a workout program and whatever. But those people, or not even those people specifically, but I feel like with both of our experience working with people, I would say 9 out of the 10 people are the ones that are like, people come to you saying, well, I just don't know why it's working, or why it's not working. Like, I keep trying to lose the weight and it's not happening, or I'm trying to put on size and it's not happening, or whatever. And then you try to talk to them of, well, what have you been doing? Or what do you think isn't working? And it's like, they just keep saying that I've been doing this for 20 years, or I just keep running through this cycle, or I've tried this, and this. okay, well, were you fully aware when you were doing those things? Because, and maybe you might know, maybe you might not know, and that's when you can reach out to people like us that can maybe give you a little bit more insight, just because we have worked with larger groups of people and you've just worked with yourself. But being able to go inward a little bit and inward with your progress, not only is it going to create a better outcome and a more long lasting outcome, but you also might get the benefit of, oh, well, this something like the scale's not moving, so I must not be seeing my progress, or must not be losing weight, or things must not be happening. This workout program isn't working for me. Yet, if you were going inward, you would be able to tell, oh, but my body is getting tighter and more firm, and I feel better, and I'm more energized, and I'm sleeping well, and I'm getting stronger. I just listed 5 things versus you're just focusing on the scale because that's an easy thing that you can go look at and read. To where all these other things are still easy to see and be proud of yourself for and see the progress and work towards that. But it's just paying attention to it and being aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more longevity in that, you know, and I think there's truly a place for those people to end up enjoying going to the gym, because a lot of the time it's the people that don't really enjoy it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from training people, the ones that seem to have the most success are the ones that put the least amount of stress on it, because they're not worried. They're not worried about the scale or numbers or, you know, any of the, honestly, it's just numbers. We got to get rid of the friggin' numbers. Like, everybody's just so caught up on numbers all the time, whether it's with food or it's with your weight or it's with lifting. Oh, I if I go below 30 pounds on my bicep curl, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing my strength. It's like, if you can just get rid of the numbers, because everybody eats for the numbers. I need to hit these amount of numbers to eat.
Or I need to be under these calories.
Right. And I need to lift these amount of numbers.
I need to look this number on the scale every time I
Yeah.
weigh myself.
Yeah. And it's just, that is never ending. That's never ending.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never ending in a negative way, because you're constantly stressed about the numbers all the time, rather than the things that you mentioned that are actually way better and way more beneficial, not only for your physical body, but your mental health. Of, I feel tighter, I feel stronger, I feel like I have more energy throughout the day, my clothes fit better. Like, all of those things matter so much more than a number on the scale or the number that you put into your mouth. Like, those things they really don't matter. And it complicates this whole process of trying to become healthy and trying to be the best version of yourself, because everybody says it all the time. It's these cliches. They're always right, but nobody wants to actually dig into them and pay attention and use them. But we're all different shapes and sizes. What your healthiest looks like is going to be different than the next girl. Mm-hmm. What mine is going to be different than the next guy. That if you just were to listen to your body and how it's performing, or how it's, you know, how your digestive system is working, or how's your sleep going, and you focused on those things, that's what's going to make you become a healthy person. Not by how many numbers you eat versus the next person, or how many numbers are on the scale versus the next person.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, there are so many different avenues you could even break down with that, of like, which this could be a whole different episode. So I'm not even going to really go into it, but like, you are such the individual. So yes, as much as you can see all the advice on Instagram, and you can see, you know, taken from me, like, see all these girls posting their workouts and what they're eating in a day and blah, blah, blah. Yes, try it and dive deep into it. This is something that you could learn about, but don't take it as fact. Same with what we're saying. Don't take what we're saying as fact. You have to test it for yourself. You have to see if it works for you. That, like, these girls that I watch, and I love watching them, they eat so, like, the amount of carbs they eat is insane, but they look ripped and super tight, and they have super low body fat percentage. That might not work for me. You're great with carbs. Some people, like, it's not even just the amounts or like, oh, I need to look like at this number on the scale because that's what she weighs and I want to look like that. That weight is going to look completely different on you than it's going to on her because your hormones are different. Your skeletal shape is different. Where your muscle is going to form is going to be different. That if you just focus on the, like you said, focus on the numbers, you sometimes go blind to the other benefits and the other positives that are happening. My heaviest that I ever was, like I said, I weighed like 112 to 115 pounds max in high school. When I went through my bulk into my cut, I think I was like 135. I had never looked better in my life. Yet if I just looked at the scale, I'd be like, holy crap, look at how much weight I gained. Yet I looked tighter. I looked more firm. I looked like I had curves that I actually built and weren't just put there. And, but I do think it is hard to, society tells us that we have to look at those numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
We're here to tell you, you don't.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Doesn't have much to do with what we were talking about. Go off on a road trip on that. But
Per usual.
yeah, I think to get back to the splits and stuff, I think generally speaking, the full body is, it's really great. The full body is kind of like your baseline balance. You know, I think if you didn't know, if you're maybe uneducated about the fitness space and you're not sure what to do, that's for sure what I would start with and I would be doing for a while is full body exercises. Because you just don't want to be loading that much volume on one body part if you have never done it before and never felt that before. It's also just, it can kind of get you and take you wherever you want to go. You do full body and you do kind of like a strength phase, it's going to get you to where you want to go. You do full body and you do a cutting phase, it's going to get you to where you want to go. Like it's very simple in what it kind of asks for and what you need to do. It's full body. You're just trying to hit almost every body part every single time you step into the gym.
You know what I love about full body is because you are trying to hit so many things within one workout. I mean, at least if you're programming with this intention, you're more than not, you're going to be hitting more compounds. Because
you should be.
You should be, yes. So what we mean by a compound lift is, well, what is the true definition of a compound lift?
I don't know what the true definition of it is, but it's
using multiple. So it's not like, I'm going to give you an example rather than giving you the definition.
Yeah.
That'll make more sense. A squat is a compound lift. It's using more muscles and parts in your body and joints in your body to create the movement, to where something like a bicep curl, where you're just isolating one part of your body or one muscle group, is not a compound.
Yeah. And there's even like real technical people on that it's like, well, it can be that's a compound lift, you know, like a barbell bicep curl. That's a compound lift for biceps. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, it could be. So maybe it's just more of the ratio, like squats are
kind of the more bang for your buck exercises.
Yeah, exactly. That's
more bang for your buck. So like squats, deadlift, chest lunges, chest press, shoulder press,
pull-ups, barbell rows, those sort of things.
Things that are like, think of the hardest lifts.
Yeah.
Those are the compounds. But when you do a full body, because you're not going to be in the gym all day and you're just trying to hit at least one body part once, you probably should be choosing that compound lift that is closer to that. You know, you're doing the chest press, you're doing your squats, you're doing your, you know, your pull-ups or your lat pull downs or whatever it is. And I think for most people that's more beneficial, that you don't really need to be adding in the accessory things until you have those, like your foundation clean and stabilized.
And I think you can tell good full body workouts, or even split workouts, they will have compounds in them, or a good amount of them. You know, they'll have, if you're doing a full body workout and it's filled with bicep curl, tricep extension, lateral raise, and it's kind of just,
Donkey
yeah,
kickbacks.
it's kind of just a lot of very simple, easy movements. They don't require a lot of energy. That's something you'll find too with the compound lifts. They require the most energy out of you. Like you mentioned, squats, deadlifts, chest press, barbell row, lunges. You're gonna be winded when you get done with the set type of thing. To where when you do a bicep curl, you're not really winded at the end of it. But a good full body program will have mostly compounds or a lot of compound lifts in them. And I think to your
They
point,
should.
yeah, they should. And I think to your point, like if you're a beginner or anybody, that's the most bang for your buck. You're going to get the most change. You're going to get the most benefits out of those exercises versus doing the donkey kicks. Donkey kicks they are a like a cherry on top type of thing. You know, it's not the whole slice of pie. The whole slice of pie is squats and hip thrusts. You know, a donkey kickback is it's not going to give you the most benefit. So don't spend most of your time doing it. You should be spending most of your time doing compound lifts.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing right now? Our workouts is almost completely compound lifts. And if it's not a compound lift, it's something like, you know, a shoulder press. Where
See,
it's like
and to
even
me,
that's
I
a
see shoulder
compound,
press as yeah, I do. I see shoulder press as a compound.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was something I was going to say about that. What was it? Also, just a tip too, if you are doing a split to where you are doing compounds mixed with accessory work, a tool that I would use is like he said, it's gonna exert the most energy. I would place those, and even just like within programming within a split, I would put those at the beginning of your workout. So say if I'm doing a leg day and I'm just random. Say I'm doing squats and I'm going to do some straight leg deadlifts and leg extension, leg curl, calf raises. I would literally probably do it in that order that I said. I would do what's the hardest thing for me? Squats. I'm going to start with that. What's the next hardest? Straight leg deadlifts. I'm going to end and then continue to go down the list, because if I start with something like calf raises, I'm not exerting that much force, that I'm using a little bit of energy that I could be using in my squat, to where I need the energy, I need the force, I need all of my oomph to get through those squats and to be able to push the weight on those, that it's not hard to power through a calf raise. Something like you said with the donkey kicks, those exercises are also great, not even as exercises. I would use them more as primers to your big exercises. So also keep that in mind. But I would also question, is this even an exercise that I'm doing?
What do you mean?
Like, I feel like a lot of, and again, maybe this we can transition into our next avenue with this topic, is old school, new school. A lot of these like band workouts, and at least what I'm seeing more in like the girl fitness space of, yeah, your whole butt and leg workouts are donkey kickbacks and like weird band booty things, and not like doing hip thrusts but not with weight on it. That I think that's like the new age version of like the jazzercise stuff. To where it's like, question maybe, what's your goal? What's your intention? Is this matching that?
Well, and I think it's a general rule of thumb too, is like, think of anything in your life that has come by you not doing a lot of work for it. There's really nothing.
Yeah.
There's really nothing. So the ones that require the most energy, like what you said, the ones that are the most difficult, those are probably the ones that are going to give you the most benefit. So those are the ones that you should be doing the most, especially because, and kind of like how you ordered it on how you would do it from requiring the most amount of energy to the least amount, going from the squats to the calf raises. You also got to think about it this way, where if you start with calf raises and then you go to leg extension and then you go to leg curl, you've just exhausted your quads and your hamstrings and your calves, and now you're trying to go to straight leg deadlifts when your whole lower body's already taxed. And you're going up to compound lifts where it requires more energy, it requires more focus, it requires more of those muscles, and you've just slowly taxed them, and now you get to your hardest exercise.
And with them being taxed, those are the ones, it's not hard to mess up a calf raise. It's not hard to mess up a leg curl or a leg extension. It's very, very, very easy to mess up a squat, to mess up a straight leg deadlift. And not even that, oh, you got to be scared, so never do them. But it's easy for your mechanics to fall out with those when they're harder and you're tired. So
Yeah.
at least give yourself
And
just
that's-
that it's hard, not that you're tired on top of it.
And that's where injury happens.
Or just not even as, like, injury for sure is the most important, but just not as much progress with those lifts either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think I want to be a little more specific about like the split approach, because I feel like that's what the question was about. And I don't want to go, we've gone off on so many routes that I don't want to not answer the question.
okay.
But I think we kind of touch on it in the beginning. They all have benefits. How I personally would approach them is, if you're a more advanced lifter, you feel like you know what you're doing, and you've never done a split routine, try them out. There's so many online that you could try. A very general one is by doing like chest and triceps on one day, back and biceps on the next day, shoulders and arms on a day, and then legs on another day. And that would be like your workouts for the week. You could take 2 days off for the 2 days off anywhere in there, but then keeping that cycle and doing that for a little while. You can go through like a strength to kind of chisel type thing, where you're trying to put on a lot of muscle and put on a lot of weight by going heavy, and then go into chiseling, where you're starting to lower the repetitions and lower the weight, or do it opposite. But try it if you haven't done it. Also with the full body, if you haven't done the full body, and you've only done splits, full body is great, especially if you're in a stressful time in your life or a very busy time in your life, because you can get a whole lot done in a little amount of time. And you don't have to, the split that I just mentioned, that's 5 days that you got to go to the gym.
Yeah.
To where a full body routine, you could successfully bring that down to about 2 days a week, and be a healthy individual, as long as you have adequate activity the rest of that week, of like lots of walking, or maybe you're doing yoga or other things. That's just your weightlifting routine is 2 days. But the full body you can really bring down to fewer days and still get a ton of benefit from them, and your workouts are shorter.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say just that's our opinion on them. If you're listening to this because you want to figure out what works for you, try them all. Try them all. See, and if there's one that we had talked about that is like, oh, that kind of sounds interesting, start with that one, and just understand what your intention is behind it, and make that work for you. Make sure you're tracking your progress, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, so that you know how to implement different things next time, or how to compare it to each, whether it's a split or a full body. See which one works better for you. And maybe it also is dependent on the time, but yeah. I like them both.
I like both for different reasons. I think the full body is awesome because it gives you a different stimulus. I started with the bodybuilding routine where it's you're splitting up your workouts. You're doing a certain body part that day, and you're just pounding that same body part, doing a variation of exercises. I think that's the benefit of those splits is, say it's a chest and tricep day, you could be doing 3, 4 different chest workouts and maybe 2 to 3 different tricep workouts, or exercises, and you get this nice variety to where with full body, a lot of the times you lose that variety because what's smart is to, go to the compounds and do the bang for your buck exercises. But now you're missing out on a lot of things. You're missing out on, maybe cable flies, or you're missing out on pullovers, some of these more intricate, smaller chest exercises. And same with the tricep. You're probably not pumping out 3 different exercises of triceps if you're doing a full body workout. So that's one of the reasons why I like splits, because you get this nice variety, and you can really pound that muscle group. But then there comes the downfall is your workouts may be longer, or you have to go to the gym more days a week because you're trying to keep that balance throughout your body. Well, you got to make sure you go hit those exercise or hit those each body part, and you got them spread out over 5 different days, to where that's where the full body kind of is a nice benefit is you're hitting the full body every day. So you also don't need to go to the gym as frequently.
That's another thing that we should touch on is if you are doing full body and you are coming from, say, a split, where I'm just going to give, random numbers, but say you're doing, like 4 exercises, like consider your volume. So if you're doing 4 exercises per body part in one workout, you don't have to do 4 exercises within one workout of a full body. You can separate that. So say like in a split, you're only hitting bis or biceps 1 day a week. Well, when you go to that full body, you don't have to do that same volume every workout. You can spread it out within the week. That makes sense how I said that? Because that's one thing that I got confused with when going to full body is, so say I did in my leg workout, say I did, straight leg deadlift, squat, and hip thrust. Well, when I went to full body, I thought, okay, well, do I do all 3 of those exercises 4 days a week or the 3 days a week?
Oh, right.
No, you can split those. That you can split. So the volume that we talked about earlier, you can split that volume between the 3 or 4 days and the one before where you were hitting it just 1 day a week.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're going from split to full body, you're not taking your split routine and trying to
do that 3 times.
Yeah. And trying to trying to bring all of the, like, taking your chest and try and back and bi and putting that on 1 day, and putting your shoulders and legs, you're not trying to take that routine and put it onto a full body. You are trimming off exercises and you're bringing it down to the compounds and the fundamental lifts, and finding the ones that are most bang for your buck, or adding some that you feel like you're not very good at, or you want to get better at, or you want to see more change in your body. But yeah, you're definitely condensing it down. You're not just bringing that routine and splitting it up into 3 days. That's crazy.
Say you're doing 9 exercises for a body part. You're not doing 9 exercises, 9 exercises, 9 exercises. You're going 3, 3, 3.
Right. So like you said, if you were to have squats, if your leg day were to be squats, straight leg deadlift, and hip thrusts, if you wanted to go to a full body routine, you would put squats on 1 day, straight leg deadlift on 1 day, and hip thrusts on 1 day.
Yes. That's actually another fun split, or another third option, I guess, to this that we did for a while living in Wisconsin, and I really liked it, is we had, I don't remember what other split we had, but like every 3rd day would be a deadlift day. And that's all we would do is deadlifts. That was cool because I wasn't doing deadlifts as much as I maybe could have, or I wasn't bringing it into my programming as much, that it is such a, like I said, it's a compound lift, but it's such a power inducing lift that to isolate it just on one day and just to focus on that was cool. So that's another suggestion that I'm giving, I guess, now is if there's an exercise that you're not really solid on, most people, it's probably something like a deadlift or squat or chest press. You could add that in on a third day too, or on a separate day that you're just focusing on that, or you're really like, today is a squat day and that's my main focus. And then I might be adding other things in, or today's a deadlift day and then I'm adding other things in, or just isolating it to that exercise. That helped me kind of like boost my progress very quickly with those exercises.
And I used to do that same thing, kind of in the beginning of working out, or maybe not even so much, even uh, in the beginning, but even further on, before I started doing any sort of full body. And, I think it would work a lot better with full body rather than doing it with a split routine, because a split routine is so, it's like you really got to hit those days. Otherwise, you're missing
Your
out.
ratio is off then.
Yeah, you're missing out on body parts. And to try to fit just a deadlift day in there is kind of difficult. But to do it with a full body routine where maybe you have 3 days set up and then your fourth day is just purely deadlift, I think that would work a lot better. I also like that idea. Just if you're, like you said, if there's any exercise, maybe it's squat. So you just make that fourth day, or you designate a day to just squats. You designate a day to just chest press. And I think with saying this, a lot of people are already getting worried or nervous of like, well, that just kind of seems like it's not worth that day. Like I'm just doing one exercise. And
those days are the best.
they're so much fun because you can just dial into one thing for the day and you can do 8 sets of it, 10 sets of it, whatever, however many you want to do. I would say do more than you typically do because you're designated the whole day to it. But for those people, you're getting worried because you're looking at it at such a time restrictive thing. You're thinking you need to be at this place that you want to be right now, and that by doing that, that's not going to happen. You got to expand out how you view fitness and where you want to be and your goals and all that stuff. You have so much time to do all of this. So learn something new with it and let there be a whole lot of time for it. I think everybody wants to, I want to lose 20 pounds in 20 weeks. I want to be this weight at this time.
Again, going back to the numbers.
Well, right.
The numbers and the time limits.
Yeah. But there's this right now attitude. I want this right now, or I'm going to, I can't handle it anymore or whatever. It's like, you gotta expand it out. Not all your problems are right now. Like, it's kind of like what we talked about in the last episode with balance. I think it was a good episode. And if you haven't, I don't know, I think it's one of the better ones we did because I think it's really important information that can help a lot of people that you're so caught up in the numbers or so caught up in I need to be this certain way right now that you're not setting up a good foundation for you to actually build on and move forward. By doing something like, I'm going to do a full body routine and I'm going to do 2 days a week, and then I don't feel like I'm really good at deadlifts, so I'm going to start deadlifting for my third day. You're setting up such a great relationship with working out that it's like, I'm not good at this thing. I want to become better at it, so I'm going to designate a day to work on it and become better at it. Like, you're learning something throughout it and creating a relationship with it rather than just, I need to be this number on a scale, and if I'm not there, I'm never going to be happy type of thing. And it's not a good foundation to try to go off of. A better one is, my opinion, to expand this out, realize, hey, I'm this years old and I've got a lot of time to figure all this out. So I'm going to set up the right foundation, the right stops to make sure that I continue on this journey and get to a place I want to be. And I'm going to have fun in the process where I'm going to learn stuff. I'm going to take a day to learn deadlifts. I'm going to take a day, to learn squats or to, I don't know. It's just
going back for the bang for your buck thing is, if you're going to do this, which most people are working out because they want something out of it. They're not just doing it because they love it. Like they're doing it because they have a goal in mind. They want to look a certain way. They want to feel a certain way. They want to move better. By you taking these steps and putting a focus on doing it correctly and programming correctly, and correctly, I feel like people, I don't know, people like me, I guess, stress of like, oh gosh, am I doing it correctly? But just having, not just going through the motions and taking the time to look into it or listen to things like this podcast, or that's why we have programs. That's why we have personal training. So we've built this business around it, is because a lot of this stuff is confusing and it is hard to manage yourself. Or if you're just like, I don't want to figure this out. Like, I just want someone to tell it for me. Okay, that's awesome, because there's people like us that can do that for you. But still going in there with your full self, not just your body that's going through the motions. But you're going to be helping yourself in the long run. That when you then want to attack those goals, or you want to switch up your goal, it's going to be easier for you. It's going to work better for you. You're going to have more efficiency and effectiveness when you do it, because you have built yourself up correctly and in the way that you, I guess you're just helping your later self out while you're helping your current self out. Dumbest sentence ever. But one thing for me, I don't know if this will connect with everybody, probably not, but when I started lifting, I saw it as I'm practicing these lifts. I'm learning the skill of working out. For me, with how I grew up with dance, that was something that connected with me of, I know how to I know how to work with my body. I've learned how to work with my body. I've learned how to achieve things when I can put all three parts together, and then I can see what is created with that. I treated lifting the same way of, I want to get better at the mechanics. I want to learn how to fix problems on my own when they arise. I want to learn how to use this thing that I've gotten the tools to learn the movement down of. Now, how can I program it to match my certain intention and reach certain goals? That for most people, you're probably not that nerdy about it, and you're like, I don't even care. This is not something that I need to like dive that far into. But I think taking a little bit of that, because your body is so important and your health is so important, that I think you should treat it somewhat of like a hobby or something you should be learning about and working with, not just something you're rolling through.
Yeah. And I get it. It's super difficult. I think the day and age that we live in, I think the majority of people are in the space where they want to lose weight. So I usually use that as the example. I think I see working out more specifically, not so much like health in general or fitness in general. Like working out, I see it as so fun that I want everybody to look at it that same way. And I think what you just described is kind of exactly how I look at it. It's a skill, and I'm trying to learn how to perfect the skill, and you can never be perfect at it. So it's just this endless pursuit that is fun. And in the process, you can go through these phases of getting really strong, and what comes with that is looking a certain way, and then getting really defined and being able to, run long distances or row for long distances and be able to
Move better
and lift this weight, 25 times, and your muscle endurance is crazy and you look chiseled and all that type of stuff. The bodily stuff comes with it, but I've always seen it as like, I want to get good at this thing. And I don't know, I wish I could help people tap into that more than just the person they see in the mirror, or the number on the scale, because to me that matters so little. The other stuff matters so much more. It's like you're learning something awesome, and in the process, especially when it's something like this, like exercising, you're not only learning like an awesome skill, but you're learning like this is benefiting you like tenfold by what you're doing. You know, it's like you could go to a classroom and learn physics, but that's not doing something for you besides learning that material.
It's
Like,
not really affecting all parts of your life, where
no,
having health and fitness affects all parts of your life. Literally, like you can't think of something that it doesn't affect.
right?
How you sleep affects it. How
Yep.
you play with your kids, it affects it. How you parent, it affects it. Because whether it's you're talking about actually lifting or working out, or how you program, or how you eat, or how you sleep, like no matter how you do it, as long as you are doing it, it goes back to it's affecting your mind, your mental, and your emotional. That is connected to everything you do and everything that you are.
And I think that's where I can get better with these questions is I see this question and I go, "Oh, what a great question." And then we go on to here and it's like you're pulling the thread where it ends up being like it always comes back to, you know, this type of conversation where it's like think about why you're doing all of this, or think about what your intention is for, you know, why you want to do a split routine versus a full body routine. Is your intention for good reasons, or is it for not so good reasons? um I don't know. I got to get better at that, of like just kind of answer the question, because I think that's what people are asking for, instead of going into the, kind of why with everything. Because I think there's a part of it where it's like, there's some people that's like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I just want to know."
Sure.
To where that's where I'm like, "Okay, we just need to answer the question too."
And I think
want to make sure I do that.
Yeah, we definitely can get better at doing that. I think we can do both though, because I think.
No, I agree. I think just sometimes we don't actually answer the question.
Sure. Yes, I I agree. I think we should answer the question. I think why we go into these side tangents, or why it always becomes the why, I think is because subconsciously we've just experienced so many people that don't focus on the why and don't focus on the intention,
Yeah.
and they're just focusing on, I need to look like this, or I need to lose this number, or blah blah blah. My life is going to be better if this happens. That I don't want this podcast, or I don't want our advice to just keep people on the wheel, on the hamster wheel.
Yeah, totally.
Like, no, let's break the cycle. Let's get off of what we're learning on Instagram, unless it's ours. But let's stop just
Well,
looking.
that's kind of why we
Let's stop
started
just
it.
looking at the Instagram pictures and going, well, why don't I look like that? And then shaming yourself about it. But then also not trying to figure out why, and not getting into the deeper of, okay, but do you actually want to push it that hard, or try that hard, or do I just want to be healthy? Because my answer is going to be different for that person. And if you can answer the why and understand the intention, all of this, these like factors or the logistics of these questions, you will be able to answer them better. Or you'll be able to ask better questions for your individual. So if you're the person asking this question, yeah, maybe you already know. Well, I already know what I want to do. I do just need the answer. But I think a lot of people start with your why, start with your intention, so then you can gear these questions to work better for you. Can I tell what one of my worst split routines was that I did? That I did for a long time? Or do you need to?
No, yeah, you can.
It was arms and shoulders on one day, back and chest on another day, and then legs every other day. And I did it 7 days a week. So I did 5 days of legs and 2 days of upper body.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
I think to go back to the question with the old school and the new school, I think another thing we wanted to talk about was like the exercises that are typically correlated with old school or new school. New school seems to be a little bit more I would call it the fluff stuff, where it's a lot of cable work. It's a lot of cable exercises. It's a lot of bands. It's a lot of exercises on the machines. And I think for some new school stuff too is it's a lot more dumbbells rather and kind of staying away from barbells, kind of staying away from the compound stuff. It's just a lot of dumbbell work. Um, and kind of I think the question was kind of again like which to do or what is benefit for what. And I think the boring answer is always like a little bit of both. You know, old school is hard work. It was hard work. You're going into the gym and you're busting it. It's hard work and it's barbells and it's the difficult stuff. But they really missed out on a lot of the machines and the cables and the bands. They didn't spend a whole bunch of time on that to where they could have. To where now new school is the complete opposite, where they're doing too much of the accessory stuff and all the definition and the bands and all that stuff, and they're getting away from the bang for your buck stuff, the hard stuff. So grabbing both of them and doing a little bit of both, I think is the best for overall health. But there's always going to be avenues where you have a goal in mind and something's going to benefit that more. You know, if you're wanting to get stronger, do compounds and do the barbells and do the hard, heavy lifting stuff. If you're trying to chisel up and get as cut as you can and as defined as you can, you're probably going to want to go more to the new school stuff where you're using a lot of cables, you're using a lot of dumbbells and bands and machines and stuff like that.
Well, two points with that. Okay, maybe I have three things. I have to remember all of my points when you talk for a long time because I'm like, oh yeah, I want to talk about that. Oh, now you're gonna now talk about that. I'll just go in reverse. So again, going back to how I have programmed this in the past. So going back to my like my bulk, kind of more chiseling and then the cutting. How I would use these specific machines versus dumbbells versus barbells in my 5x5s or in my bulking phases, I didn't even touch dumbbells. So same workouts, say like like my shoulders in each phase, I would be just doing barbell shoulder press in my first chunk. In my second chunk, I would still keep super heavy weight, but go to the dumbbells where I have to now stabilize, which is going to pick out different muscles in my shoulders. And then when I got to my chiseling or my like cutting phase, my last phase, that's when I started implementing more of the machines and the like more of the band work because I could keep my volume higher and I'm not like putting as much stress, say with like the heavier weights, but I can still hit those kind of like more of just like the little tweaky spots that I wanted to fine tune. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think what you're saying, I agree of they're all useful and compared to the old school, you know, like why did they not use them? It's just availability. Like they didn't even have these things. They just had, I mean, I remember hearing, I don't remember what like time period this was, but to do chest press, they had to like balance the weight and then lay on their back. Like they didn't even have benches that set up on a rack.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that, or, you know, like they just had the weight. They just had the iron plates. They just had the bar and then dumbbells. So that's what they worked with, to where I think moving into, we're trying to kind of expand fitness so that it works for more people, not just like, you know, you think of like the Arnold days. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, now fitness in that point was very separated female to male, where it's really just the males that were in the weight room, where the females were doing the jazzercise classes and the, you know, those kinds of things, because there maybe wasn't, I guess just like maybe that the things that they were working with doesn't appeal to women as much, to where now I think they can all be useful. I think what is a little bit tricky nowadays and what I don't like so much about the new school stuff is I think there's a time and place and we're not necessarily using it at the correct time and place to reach the biggest benefit of these things. Like I was saying with the bands before, I love doing band stuff. I love doing donkey kickbacks. I love doing all of those things. Would I do them as my main glute exercise? No. Because I know it's not bang for my buck. I'm not putting as much force production on it. So it means I'm not going to be building as much muscle as I could with doing a squat, a deadlift, and different variations of that, lunges, hip thrusts. I would use those to prime for those exercises, and meaning, say, doing donkey kickbacks before going into a squat. Why I like doing that for me also specifically is it's hard for me to feel when my glutes are working or certain areas in the like my posterior side. I just don't have good connection there. So that helps me trigger that area and sending a signal to that area so that when I go into my compound lifts, I know when it's working or when it's not working. So I like using those kinds of new school things paired with the old school ways of lifting. And the only knock that I have on, like, say, the machines, which I think is an obvious, is just the lack of stability that you get with that. That then you a huge part of lifting, which is awesome, is getting the functional movement and being able to kind of use it in regular day things, that when you just isolate it to a machine and now you're not getting the stabilizers with it, it becomes less useful outside of the gym. Still useful, but I would say less.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everything you're saying is true. And I think that's probably a good place to stop for this one.
Yeah. So I think wrapping it up, like, we like them both for different things, and old school, new school, they both have value, and we learn things from the old school stuff. We adapt and we change and make it better. But they all have a place.
Yeah, and same with the splits in the full body. You can utilize them for, based on your lifestyle too. Are you able to go to the gym 5 days a week, or are you only able to go in twice or 3 times? You can kind of set up your routines simply based on that, but you can also just mix it up if you want to try something new. Try a different stimulus and see, if you've been doing one style forever, try something else and see if you get different benefits from it, because my guess would be is that you would.
Yeah. But just like always, we want to hear what you want to talk about, and whether that's specific questions or questions directly for you and what you're working on, or just general topics that, like this one kind of was, of like, I just want to hear you talk about it and your points and your point of view with it. We love that. And you can always either comment below on any of our videos, and we'll keep checking those, see if you have things that you bring up, or our social media is the Hub Fitness on Facebook, and we always check that. We check our messages on there, and Instagram is all lowercase, the Hub_Fit Crew, and our
No, fitness. You keep saying Fit Crew.
I want it to be Fit Crew because we're Fit Crew.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the Hub_Fitness.
The Hub_Fitness. And then our email is the fitcrew@gmail.com. So you can do any of those to give us your topic suggestions, your questions, and we'll check those and add them into our next couple episodes. Look forward to a road trip episode that we're going to be doing in a week from now.
Yeah, maybe a couple guests, maybe.
Yes, a couple fun things coming over the holiday break.
Yeah.
And then speaking of the holidays, we have 2 things running right now. We have our holiday sale, which is 50% off your first month of training. So I would highly suggest getting on that, because that is a huge discount, and we won't run that all the time. And then we are doing a holiday giveaway, which we are going to pick 5 people If you email the email that we just said of the hub.fitcrew@gmail.com, if you email us
Hub holiday giveaway.
Hub holiday giveaway and the program that you want and your name, we're going to give away 5 programs, and you can choose whichever one you want. And if you want to have more information on that, all of our programs are listed on our Facebook page. And we periodically have been putting them up on our Instagram as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fun things coming up. So definitely subscribe.
Yeah,
So you can
subscribe
see
to the
those
channel.
happening, and do the bell so that when we post those, you can see that they pop up.
Yeah. I think we want to interact more, so we ask that you interact more, and we're here to create a dialogue and to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thanks for watching.